Welcome, everyone. Today we are exploring the transformative concepts from The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest, a guide dedicated to helping us turn self-sabotage into self-mastery. Wiest, a celebrated author known for her work on emotional intelligence and self-actualization, argues that the mountain we face is rarely an external obstacle. Rather, it is a manifestation of our own internal blockages. This presentation will cover how to identify sabotaging behaviors and use them as catalysts for profound personal growth and radical self-responsibility. On this slide, we contrast the old paradigm of self-sabotage with a new, more empowering reality. The myth suggests that self-sabotage stems from self-hatred or a lack of willpower. However, Wiest explains that it is actually a maladaptive coping mechanism. Your unconscious mind uses these behaviors to fulfill unmet needs or avoid perceived threats, essentially trying to protect you in a misguided way. To overcome this, we must stop trying to override our impulses and instead determine why they exist in the first place. This visual illustrates Gay Hendricks' upper limit theory, which posits that we each have a specific threshold for how much good we allow ourselves to feel. When we surpass this limit, the spike, our nervous system, which is wired for comfort rather than happiness, triggers an unconscious return to our baseline standard. This often results in a sabotage dip, where we behave in ways that bring us back to the familiar, even if that familiar state is miserable. True growth requires gradually adjusting this baseline standard. Self-sabotage manifests in several distinct ways. Uprooting is the constant need for fresh starts to avoid the discomfort of long-term commitment. Perfectionism is an unrealistic expectation used to avoid the vulnerability of actually showing up. Disorganization creates physical chaos to distract you from meaningful work. Finally, justification involves treating excuses like measurable outcomes. These behaviors serve as distractions that keep us a few tasks away from the actual work of becoming our highest selves. To stop sabotaging, we must identify our subconscious core commitments. For example, refusing to commit to a relationship might stem from a core commitment to feeling free, which masks an unmet need for autonomy. Similarly, obsessive overworking might be a commitment to staying in control to satisfy a need for safety. Wiest notes that the less you feed your core need, the louder your sabotaging symptoms become. Fulfilling these needs directly is the only way to dissolve the sabotage. This slide introduces the emotional translator, which helps us find the hidden messages behind surface emotions. Anger often signals that your boundaries have been violated and action is required. Jealousy reveals that you are suppressing a desire for something someone else has achieved. Resentment stems from unrealistic expectations of others to love you perfectly. Guilt suggests you are stepping between not having enough and finally having enough. Understanding these core messages allows us to process emotions rather than suppressing them. The human mind is anti-fragile, meaning it actually requires tension and resistance to transform. If you deny your brain a real, productive challenge, it will compensate by manufacturing a problem to overcome, often resulting in manufactured anxiety with no actual reward. This void of challenge makes the mind vulnerable to chaos. The pivot involves staying engaged with real-world challenges you can control, rather than battling fabricated fears inside your head. Embracing the grit of life is what we were made for. Emotional intelligence is the ability to interpret and respond to sensations in a healthy way. Suppression is an unconscious reactive process where you deny your true reactions, leading to emotional outbursts when the backlog finally jams. Conversely, control is conscious and deliberate. It involves fully validating and feeling the emotion while choosing your response. Remember, emotions are temporary, but behaviors are permanent. Mentally strong people are responsive to their feelings rather than reactive. Trauma is a physical issue stored at a cellular level. It is a severed connection to safety. To heal, we must use techniques like the breath scan to identify where physical tension is stored in the body. We then must reinstate safety in the specific area that was traumatized. For example, building financial literacy if money caused the trauma. Finally, we must allow for physical processing. Sweating, moving, and crying are non-negotiable releases for stored emotional data. We often wait for a big bang epiphany to change our lives, but these moments are myths. Real transformation is governed by micro shifts, tiny, nearly undetectable daily decisions. Outcomes are governed by principle, not passion. Changing one meal, reading one page, or delaying a phone check by 1 minute creates a compounding effect that eventually shifts your entire paradigm. If you want to change your life, you must make these micro shifts until they become habituated. The Future Self Protocol is a 4-step visualization tool for growth. First, face the fear by sitting in quiet and letting anxiety pass. Second, observe the persona by visualizing the highest potential version of yourself, noting their posture and environment. Third, ask for guidance on current obstacles, seeking messages of calm rather than anxiety. Finally, receive the keys by visualizing your future self handing you a symbolic item, like a bank statement or wedding band, linking your present to their reality. Wiest distinguishes between performative healing and authentic healing. Performative healing is driven by revenge or a desire to prove them wrong, focusing on visual before and after shots for external approval. Authentic healing is driven by a desire for inner peace and mental clarity. It involves showing up exactly as you are before everything is perfect. The status of authentic healing is that you prioritize your own heart over the eyes of others. To master yourself, you must learn that vision plus logic is greater than temporary emotion. Your comfort system, emotions, is designed to keep you in familiar territory, which your body registers as safety, even if it's not beneficial. New positive actions will often register as unsafe simply because they are foreign. This is a false alarm. The practical application is to take action before the feeling arrives, allowing your body to eventually adapt to a new, healthy baseline. Inspiration is a trap because it relies on temporary feelings and abandons you when work becomes monotonous. Principles, however, are objective, natural laws of cause and effect. For example, more money doesn't solve money problems. Financial principles do. Relational principles, not a new partner, solve relationship problems. Little things done repeatedly according to these principles become the big things. Principles shift you from short-term survival to long-term thriving. Your aligned legacy exists at the intersection of 3 circles: your inherent skills, where you thrive effortlessly, your authentic interests, what you are willing to be uncomfortable for, and market needs, how you best serve the world. Wiest emphasizes that your purpose is not to be the single best at something. Instead, it is to consciously become the highest version of yourself and offer that unique contribution to the collective. Your existence itself has already shifted the world. Building mental strength involves 4 key steps. First, stop psychic thinking. You cannot predict the future based on your anxieties. Second, end false dichotomies by eradicating either or catastrophic thinking. Third, humble yourself by erasing the spotlight complex. Others aren't evaluating you as much as you think. Finally, outsource your deficits, recognize your limits, and ask experts for help. Mental strength is a practice of responsiveness rather than reactiveness. We conclude at the summit of self-mastery, which requires taking radical, complete responsibility for your life. This means viewing the mountain not as an obstacle, but as a gift, your deepest inner self informing you that you are capable of more. One day, this mountain will be far behind you, barely visible in the distance. But the person you became while learning to climb it, that resilient, self-aware version of you, will stay with you forever.